Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into the session of Epic 7. Now today, we have some more expedition guides for you guys, and this time we're going to be taking a look at my Dark Expedition team. So, going down here, we're going to start a new expedition, just so you see how much damage is really being done. Now this team here requires very specific stats, and I'll show all the stats at the end of the video, but during the course of this little demonstration run, I'll be explaining everything to you guys. Alright, so let's have this run in the background while I talk. So the team that I'm using for this expedition here is Tamarinne with Iseria, and I have Lilias as my frontline tank with Luna as my DPS. Now, I turn the Luna skills off here. You do not really want to use her S3 because the only way she's going to do more damage with her S3 compared to S1 is when you hit a min hit, right? Because Luna has 3 different ways she can hit. She can hit for 1 turn cooldown, 2 turn cooldown, or 3 turn cooldown on her S1. The 2 turn and the 3 turn cooldowns are the ones that you want to hit. Right, so that was a 2-hit right there, for example, and those do pretty much the same amount of damage as her S3 would. Her triple hit would do more damage, so overall on average, turning her skills off will allow you to have more damage output. Now, on full auto here, you're going to notice that the Iseria is going to be, going first. She's going to land her S3, whatever, on the boss, and it doesn't matter. The boss is going to cleanse it. You do not have to do any turn 1 like manuals or anything like this, because I'm lazy. Now, you could always do that as well. That is something that is an option. I just prefer not to. As you can see here with the cannon hitting my team, everyone except Luna resisted, and it didn't matter that Luna gets her cooldowns decreased because, of course, your skills are turned off. But that is because my Lilias, Tamarinne, and Iseria are both over 100, or all 3 of them are over 100% resistance. This team is a little bit tricky to build, but I had really random spare gear laying around that had effectiveness and resistance substats, so just making use of some of the random things I had laying around, and I managed to put this team together. With all 3 of those units resisting, it means that you're always going to have those non-attack skills coming off of cooldown right around the time that you're going to get the electrocution debuff, which is pretty nice. So Iseria is here. She's on Song of the Stars because, as you can see, she provides the defense break and the target debuff. Lilias is there for the non-attack skill on her S2, but also because she can trigger dual attacks with Luna, potentially. It's random, but there's a chance. And Tamarinne's here because, obviously, she's one of the best PvE healers in the game, pushing up the team, giving you Luna attack buff, and being able to strip the boss's defense buff, which he occasionally puts up with her S1, so that's quite nice. Iseria also helps in that regard with her S3 because she does put unbuffable on the boss, so he'll never be able to get that defense buff up if he procs during the time he has the debuff. Right, so Luna right here is around 160 something speed. You do want her to be able to take turns and cycle. I don't like using a 0 speed Luna here. If she's naturally being able to take some of her turns, she's able to, move along the CR bar on her own. It's going to help you with your damage output. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just got to make sure that your Iseria and your Tamarinne both have around 85% effectiveness along with their 100% resistance. The 85% effectiveness is what allows you to land your debuffs on your boss, which is always nice. Obviously, you don't want your boss resisting your target and defense breaks. And that's about it with this boss. Some people tend to struggle with it, right? But you can always replace Luna for things. I've seen people use CDOM. I used to use CDOM in the past before all the expedition overhauls, and I decided to commit a full team to this. You could also use units like Luluka for your defense breaker. She has a non-attack skill on her S2. You can also use, I've seen people use Landy as their DPS, which is also pretty nice. Now, as you can see, we're hitting around 500,000 something damage here. On average, I'd hit from 600,000 to about 800,000. It depends on your, dual attack procs, how lucky you get, and all that stuff. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty solid team. It's very consistent. Do you have to hit this much damage? No, you don't. As long as you're hitting around 300k and everyone else is hitting around 300k, you're in a good spot. The reason why I would suggest you maybe, if you are able to, tune your team a little bit better, is so that you can compensate for anyone who's on your friends list or in your guild who cannot hit for as much, right? Maybe they're hitting 100, 200k every run. Hitting something like 600k allows you to compensate for maybe 1 or 2 players who aren't able to hit that 300k threshold. But as you can see, 650,000 damage, that's on the lower end. Normally I'd be able to hit up to 800,000, but this was just a test run to show you guys how it works. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my units here and all of their stats. Let's go ahead and start with Lilias right here. Alright, so Lilias is on a, she's used to be on a PvP build with resistance, but I kind of removed a few pieces in favor of some others. Here are her stats. She's never going to die, and I have her on sort of Iseria, the artifact here. 200 something speed is fine. You just need that 100% effect resistance for her not to get locked down by the cannon. Right, next up we have our Tamarinne here. Tamarinne is using the same build on her fire expedition as she is here for the dark one. So you want over 100% effect res. This is a little overkill, but you just need 100% on your effect res and 85% in the effectiveness, and she'll be golden anywhere for PvE content. Now, as you can see, her bulk isn't very high, only 13,000 attack, or sorry, 13,000 HP, and honestly, she survives quite well. She's running Magaraha's Tome, allowing her to cycle her heals much easier, and all spare gear, right? A lot of free pieces here, and some spare gear. Next up we have Luna, our main damage dealer. You want to hit around 4,000 attack and 300 crit damage. Mine could be a bit better, but as you can see, I didn't I-90 any of these pieces except for this boot here. She's on Ubirus' Tooth, which is perfectly fine for dealing a little bit of extra damage. Ideally, you want the level 3 artifact that allows you to give additional damage on your basic attacks because her skills are turned off anyway. And she's on her combat readiness EE that pushes her up every time she attacks. You do want a bit of bulk on her for the Dark Expedition. As you can see, she's not very tanky, but it does allow her to live through the cannons and the dual attacks that the bosses trigger. 160 speed is the sweet spot for her. A little bit more won't hurt, but you don't really want to go too much less. Otherwise, she's going to take too few turns throughout the battle, and that'll impact your damage output. And last but not least, we have Iseria here. And Iseria, as you can see, doesn't need too much bulk either. She doesn't need to be speed tuned with Tamarinne at all for the boss. As you can see, I still hit for quite a bit of damage. You just need a bit of effectiveness here, above 85%, and you want to hit over 100% effect res. So usually the ring is what carries those, right? So I had a ring that had, this is not a ring that I would really use on anybody, but effect res ring, effectiveness substats all over, and you're good to go. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Hopefully this has helped you get some ideas for how to approach the Dark Expedition. I know some people tend to have difficulties on it. If you need help with building a team, or you just need additional ideas of units that you can interchange, feel free to join our Discord server. Link is in the description down below. A lot of our community members have different approaches to the boss and different team comps that you may use if you don't have these units or you don't have the gear for this specific run. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time. Take care.